For this lesson, what we're going to be talking about is a topic that you probably have not been introduced to, and this is going to be econ and the different economic systems that are developed during the Industrial Revolution. This is a really important one. This is why I do a video for this one, so you can watch it again if need be, because this one is going to come up all throughout history, into U.S. history, and even into government your junior year. So we're going to look at the ideas of free enterprise and socialism mostly. That's going to be the two that we are really going to focus on. So the vocab is going to have some new words that you have probably never ran into before. The means of production, when we talk about the means of production, it means the things that make the stuff that we need to survive, or that makes society able to function. So like a railroad or a road building company, farms, mines, steel mills. We need that stuff so that we have the things that run society. And that's the means of production, the things that produce the things we need. The proletariat is just another word for working class, but we are only going to use that when we talk about communism and socialism. I am not worried about social democracy. I decided to take this off so we can focus on these two. Both of these are going to deal with mostly socialism, though. So you don't have to really copy anything on this slide, but this is what brings this lesson all together and made these people think about the economy. If you remember, the economy is the exchange of goods and services in a society. That's all it is. So because of the Industrial Revolution, there began to be a lot of questions, because there were a lot of changes about what should be done to fix all those problems. If you remember back to the working class and the issues that they had, there were a lot of issues. And people began to say, well, what's the government's role? What should the government do? Should the government be responsible for its people, or should they just focus on, protecting the country? So there begins to be this question about how involved should the government be in the economy? And people begin to ask, what role should government play in business? If you look in this picture in the bottom left, should businesses be allowed to employ children, or should children have to go to school? There's this question about who owns resources. Do you privately own, if there's oil on your land, do you own that? Or, since oil is really important to our economy, does everybody own that oil? And these different systems are going to try and have a solution to those questions. So the first one is capitalism or the free market. You can use either term here. I really don't mind, but the proper name for it is the free market. The central idea of the free market is what we call laissez-faire. So if you put your hands up real quick, literally put your hands up in front of you. Laissez-faire means hands off, all right? So it means hands off. The government is not involved with the economy. So what the government is going to do is it is going to let the economy run just without rules. There's going to be little regulation of corporations. There's going to be little regulation of labor, and the government is pretty much going to let the market decide how the economy works. The other big idea of laissez-faire of capitalism, is going to be competition. The idea that competition makes goods cheaper. So if there's two companies and both companies are making computers, the idea of capitalism and the free market is that they are going to compete for customers. So you have two ways to get customers. You can make a better product and charge more for it, or you can make your product cheaper. So if these two companies want to get different customers, maybe one decides to make really high-end computers that are thousands and thousands of dollars, and the other one makes really good budget laptops that are super cheap that everybody can get. And they're going to compete to try and get you to buy their stuff. The best example of this is Amazon. You go on Amazon, you type in sweatpants, there are millions of different types at all different types of price points, because those companies are competing to get your business. So they're offering you different styles, prices, types, and fabrics, whatever. The third idea of the free market is private property, that you own your business, that your property is yours. So if a person buys a piece of land and it has coal on it, that is now their coal. The people before it, the government, have no claim to it. It is theirs, and they can choose to do what they want with it. If they just want to sit on it and they don't want to mine it, that's fine. If they want to mine it and sell all of it within a year, they can do that. And the fourth piece is that businesses run for profit. This makes sense. You open up a business for one reason, and that is profit, to make money. So these four things together are kind of the tenets of the free market. And this is really what America is. This idea that you open up a business and that business is yours, you run it for profit, and you're competing against other corporations for customers. Laissez-faire gets a little more complicated. We'll get more into that when we talk about socialism, but just know that America generally follows the free market. The free market was mostly supported by the middle class and those entrepreneurs and the upper class, but the middle class was really big on the free market because the free market was seen as the easiest way to advance yourself in society. You could start a business and you could earn lots and lots of money, and you got to advance up that social ladder. If you remember back to when we talked about social mobility, back then, and even today, your social status is determined by wealth. So starting a business was a good way to do that. So the argument of the free market, and remember, we're always coming back to the working class here and their issues of poverty and how they don't have any money and child labor. The middle class and the capitalists say, the solution is to start businesses. The market, not the government. So this system of the free market, not the government, is the solution to the problem of the working class. If they want to get out of the working class, they have to find a skill. They have to find a business, something that they can market, and that way they can get out of that working class situation. So the utilitarians, they're kind of a third way. Because, like I said, our focus is mostly going to be the free market, capitalism, and socialism. So the utilitarians believe in this thing called limited intervention. If you remember back to the free market, what we just talked about, it was very hands-off. Put your hands up, literally. Hands-off. The government does not deal with the economy. The utilitarians say limited intervention is the way to go. Intervention means you are getting involved in something. So what the utilitarians believe is that the government should intervene in the economy a little bit. Whereas the free market capitalists say, nope, the government is hands-off, it's laissez-faire, it does not deal with the economy. The utilitarians say that the government should focus on meeting the basic needs of everyone. So there should be basic, incomes, there should be basic health care, there should be basic living situations. The government's job is to make sure that its citizens are kind of taken care of. And what the utilitarians really disagree with the free market people is they're saying that the government needs to be involved to help improve the lives of the working class. So the government needs to provide things like, orphanages or low-cost housing or groceries or welfare. So you can think of the utilitarians, the best way to explain them is they want what's best for everyone. Okay? If a corporation is paying its workers super low wages, the utilitarians are going to argue that the government should step in and force that corporation to pay their workers a decent wage. So that's where they really break with the free market capitalist is they want the government to do what's best for everybody and be involved a little bit, thus the limited side. Last, we have socialism. So socialism, this is the idea, this is the opposite end of the capitalists and the free markets. The government heavily regulates. So again, if we go back to the free market, we go back to the capitalist, that's the idea that the government does not regulate the economy at all. It doesn't, okay? The socialists, on the other hand, believe that the workers are being exploited. They believe that the corporations are purposefully taking advantage of the workers. So the government is the one that needs to then protect the workers. What they want is this thing. This is the most important thing right here. If you remember back to the free market, private property is one of their most important things. The idea that you own your business for profit. The socialists do not believe in this. They want the means of production, so those big industries, steel, railroads, farms, mines, the things that we need to survive. They want them owned by the government. The state just means government. That's all this means. So the state means the government. This allows the socialists to make what they think is a more fair society. If the government is in control of the farms, they can make sure that everyone has enough food to eat. If the government is in control of the railroads, they can make sure that the railroads aren't charging too much for tickets. If the government controls the means of production, they can spread out everything that a country has, all the resources, all the goods, and then they can make sure that everybody has enough. So the socialists are more focused on making things more fair. That is their big goal. Related to the socialists are the communists. And here's what I would really like you to write down somewhere on your paper. Not every socialist is a communist, but every communist is a socialist. Communists are the far extreme end of socialism. It was developed by these two men down here, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. You will sometimes hear a communist called Marxists after Karl Marx. Their goal is they want a classless society. So they believe that there should be no social classes, that everybody should essentially be equal. And when they say this, that the workers own the means of production, what they mean, oh, that's a bad line. When they say that the workers are going to own the means of production, what they really mean is they want the government to control all business in the country. The government will control everything, and that will make everyone equal in their ideas. So how the communists are going to do this, and I told you this word would come back up, the bourgeoisie, the middle class, they don't think that there's three social classes like we've gone over. They think there's actually two. They think that there is the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. The bourgeoisie are the rich. They own the factories. They own the mines, okay? The proletariat are everybody else. And the communists would argue that the middle class are actually just well-off proletariat. They're the people who don't have control of stuff. They don't have power. So what the communists are going to want the proletariat to do is rise up. They want the proletariat to kill the bourgeoisie, kill the factory owners, kill the government officials, eliminate anybody who is against them, and then create the society that is classless, where the proletariat rule everything and the government controls all business. So you can see that the communists, they're that very, very extreme end of socialism. They don't want things just more fair. They want to eliminate the classes, the social classes, and make everybody on the same level, so to speak. So what you should be able to do by the end of this is you should be able to explain the difference between capitalism and socialism. This, I want you to take a look, pause the video, and look at this cartoon. If you can explain this cartoon, and you are able to, I'd actually like you to, if we were in class right now, come up to me at the end of this video and actually bring your Chromebook and explain this cartoon to me. That's going to let me know that you kind of understood the difference between these two. If you haven't, then we can work on it. So I hope this helped, and if you have any questions, let me know.